So today I have a quick activation / rehab exercise that I give from time to time, particularly for those who have a bit of an inefficient pull-up technique. And more often than not, they develop this technique because there's sort of a history of shoulder pain. And so that vicious cycle of the lower traps and the rhomboids not being strong enough to hold the shoulder blade in its neutral position then allows it to come forward because we start compensating through the pec and the upper trap. So that would already be sort of like that pre-existing scenario. And then when people go to try to do their pull-up, because this is what they're used to using to stabilize their shoulder blade, they end up kind of doing like pull-ups with their shoulders and their ears first. So they initiate like this as opposed to being able to pull back that way. That's the most common scenario. Obviously also there could be other situations, but what I use this pull-up progression or pull-up exercise to do is to try and break that cycle and teach that kind of like back and down movement, and more to the point, to initiate through the shoulder blade rather than thinking about pulling back with my arm. And so in order to set up for this exercise, you need a red sort of pull-up band like so. And you want to attach it above you. So you could either do this exercise standing and you attach it to the pull-up bar and then do the movement, or you attach it to your squat rack and then you can do it kneeling on the floor. And from there, what you're going to do is you're going to set up with your hand through the band like so. And you want to set up with enough distance from the squat rack that the movement is difficult, but where you can still make sure that you can initiate through the shoulder blade and get a little bit of external rotation through the elbow, which I'll show in a second. So in this position, I'm going to think about pulling shoulder blade back and kind of down towards my spine, back this way. Then I pull my elbow back, scoop around, come back, and come back, okay? Always thinking about keeping that shoulder blade down as opposed to pulling through here. So at first segment, pull that shoulder blade down, pull the arm, come around, come back, come like so. And then as that segmented version gets easier, then you can start thinking about doing it more as a smooth movement. And what I want you to think about before you increase the resistance, I want you to make sure that you can kind of, it's almost like you're trying to clean the corners out of that arch so you get a nice smooth rounded or curved movement as opposed to kind of jagged like so. You want to get it nice and smooth before you start adding more resistance or a thicker band or however. If this scoop version where you're coming around and then getting that external rotation, it's good for everyone doing pull-ups, but it's particularly good for those who are working on their motor patterning for kipping pull-ups, especially butterfly kipping pull-ups in CrossFit or whichever other activity they may be using them in. Those who are just working on their strict pull-up technique can absolutely add that scoop because while you're doing it, you may as well work on it. But if you do just want to do kind of what you need to do a strict pull-up, then you still need to do a bit of a scoop, at least to get your elbow slightly in front of your chest, your rib cage, and then come back and go like so. So you don't need to exaggerate it as much if you're just working on your strict pull-up. But while you're there, you may as well work on all the corners and build as much stability as you can. For this exercise, if I'm giving it to someone as a rehab tool in terms of helping them with their motor patterning or changing that motor pattern from using the upper trap to the better version where we're using we're setting the shoulders with our rhomboids and our lower traps while we pull through the lat. If we're using it to break that previous motor pattern, then it's something you could do every day for like 2 or 3 sets of 10. If we're using it to build the motor pattern in the first place, then you can do it as like, again, 2 to 3 sets of 10 as an activation just before doing your pull-up workout. For those who are doing it as a rehab thing, I would still make sure to do it before doing any pull-up workout, but on non-pull-up days, I would do more sets and reps because the more volume we get practicing the this new pattern, the easier and faster it'll be to develop the new pattern. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM or comment below. Thanks.